Hello and welcome back. Happy Wednesday, everyone. Today we are going to be diving into Tinto Talks number 42, which is, of course, referring to the upcoming project teaser. Some of you might know it as Europa Universalis 5, but the release of the game, it's going to be titled Project Teaser, and this is what we'll be reviewing. Also, we're going to have a Happy Wednesday next week, an extra Happy Wednesday, because it'll be a merry Happy Wednesday. But let's continue. Welcome to another Tinto Talks, the happy... What's this? What's this? Johan didn't capitalize Happy Wednesday? It's a little bit weird. That's unlike Johan. That's not... I think something's wrong, guys. Johan usually capitalizes Happy Wednesday. I think something's wrong. Alright, hopefully we get to the bottom of this. Okay, but we are continuing on, and we will be reviewing some information from our upcoming super secret game with codename Project Caesar. And they say Project Caesar to disguise from the fact that the name of the game is going to be Project Teaser, or if you like to pronounce stuff the old-fashioned way, Taser. Taizar. Except it's not quite like that, but someone's going to correct me on Latin pronunciation when Kaisar is relatively close to... Anyways, this week we will be talking about the disaster system. Oh no! Which has been present in the game, present in different forms of recent grand strategy games from Paradox. We have disasters. There are two major differences between a disaster and a situation. Jeez. This sounds so extra. There's two major differences between a disaster and a situation. This sounds like the... Girl, there's two different... You ain't no disaster, you a situation. The first is that a situation is almost always negative, and secondly, a disaster is always for a specific country. While there are multiple situations that can be active and involving a country at the same time, only a single disaster can happen at the same time. Fair enough. There are also two categories of disasters: the specific historical narratives and the generic ones that can happen to anyone under the right circumstances. Okay. Disasters in Project Caesar are not just modifier applied to the country and some events triggering until you fulfill the win conditions, but you also get unique actions you can do to affect the disaster. Very cool when it feels like you're getting to interact with it rather than it's just modifiers that are laid on top of you. I think this is generally how EU4 kind of handles it, but it's been a while since we played EU4. Let's start looking at some of the more common and more generic, or some common, more generic disasters. Court and country, that sounds familiar. I wonder what game that's from. Looks at EU4. Resistance to the growing centralization of our country has culminated in a period of general crisis and conflict between the court and the country. Depending on how we handle this time of crisis, we might come out of it a stronger country than before. This disaster can happen to any country with strong absolutism or crown power in the age of absolutism or the age of revolution. Here we see King Pere, or Pierre, or something, the fourth. We see some various things, and we see some nobility insurgents, and we have some actions that we can take, or this is court and country applying to the entire nation, some actions we can take. We can legitimize legislative abolition, reinstate the legislative assembly, rein in the nobility, rein in the bourgeoisie, rein in the clergy, rein in the commoners, and so we can rein in everyone. It's reining cats and dogs, but most importantly, it's reining crown authority. You know what I mean? I don't. As you can see here, above here for the UI for this disaster, shows you your current crown power and the power of your states, while also showing off the rebel closest to starting a civil war. It also lists the current actions you have in the disaster. Here we cannot rein in the nobility, as they are too strong already. They're too powerful to be kept alive, too strong already. Two of the icons above the special tooltips are useful for you as well. Okay, so we have end requirements here. Is that something we can hover? Yep, so in the UI, I'm assuming we can hover this and we will be able to see this. End requirements, we've had it at least 10 years, like a disaster. At least one of these is true. Crown authority is greater than or equal to 36% of estate power. We have equal to 5 total estate privileges granted. We have less than either 80 or negative 80 absolutism versus liberalism. I'm guessing that is minus 80, and that is in the direction of absolutism. So this would be, I guess, the crown wins, and then here we make peace with everyone is the other kind of end condition. Our nobility, clergy, burghers, and commoners have greater than 85% satisfaction, and we have greater than 25 absolutism versus liberalism. In this case, we have resolved it by liberalizing. I really do like that there appears to be like two tracks for ending this sort of conflict, either crushing it or, going with the flow. Advice for court and country. Let's hear it. We can increase our crown power through revoking privileges, increasing control across our locations, building a counting house, makes sense, increasing our government power, and enacting certain policies. In case you don't know how to increase crown power, you've come to the wrong game. I thought this was a lead into religious turmoil, but that doesn't seem to be the case. But despite the country's efforts to mediate, this is another disaster between the different religious groups in our nation. Oh no, conflicts have been erupting on a regular basis. The situation has worsened, and without drastic measures, we will soon be engulfed in a religious civil war. This disaster can occur during the Age of Reformation for any Catholic or any country following any Protestant religion, if they have low enough religious unity and a weak clergy estate. I assume this means a Catholic during the Age of Reformation or a Protestant at any point in time, but it might be Protestant during the Age of Reformation. Obviously, we're not getting Protestant before, so maybe it's just Age of Reformation only. To get out of this disaster, there are multiple ways. Get religious unity higher, makes sense. Get the power of the clergy much higher as a spiritualist, or go full humanist while restoring stability. Shout out to humanism. While this disaster is happening, there will be a lot of conflict from religious minorities in the country, which makes sense. If we look into some of the country-specific ones, we have a few here, and we don't want to spoil them all. No one ever suspected the Spanish Inquisition. We see the rise of a Savonarola. The upstart preacher has started to spread an apocalyptic message, advocating for repentance and reform. Boo! His message is causing quite a stir among the population, and is a sign of some changing times. This is a disaster that's likely to happen in Florence in the last decades of the 15th century if they are a Catholic republic. To get out of this disaster, you either have to become a theocracy or Savonarola will have to die. That can be arranged. We have the War of the Roses, which is going to be a fun little disaster. Yay. The two junior branches of the House Plantagenet, you may look like they're riding in on horses, but we were going to make a joke about them riding in on cars, but then the loud car got suddenly quiet. There must be a speed trap outside, because it looked like he was about ready, or it sounded like he was about ready to go. Shout out to the loud car outside, but it didn't happen. That was a false start on the offense. 10-yard penalty. Two juniors branches of the House Plantagenet, the House Lancaster, and the House of York both claim to be the rightful heir to the throne of England. Sporadic fights between the supporters have already broken out in a number of provinces around the country. Their heraldic, is that how you pronounce that? Heraldic? I don't think I've ever said that word out loud before. Their heraldic symbols, a red rose and a white rose, have already become synonymous with a conflict now commonly known as the War of the Roses. This is a specific disaster for England, which can happen during the 15th century if the ruling dynasty is Plantagenet, and some specific historical events have happened. It will allow you to either side with York or Lancaster, as it will build up to a civil war for the throne. Very exciting. So, which historical events do you think will be best represented by a disaster? Post your suggestions here. Well, for this, we would have to go back in time to around, 600 BC, during the Second Punic War, when when Carthage lost to Rome. That is a true historical disaster, truly the greatest geopolitical disaster of the, past 2.5 millennia. It still hurts. Let's not talk about it. No one comment about that in the comments below. Don't do it. Too soon. Now, you will either get a Christmas present next Wednesday, or you will get a lump of coal. So next Wednesday, we will be getting Schrodinger's Tinto talks. In fact, they're actually going to change all this banner up here, and it will not be Tinto talks, it will be Schrodinger's talks, because it's either a lump of coal, a present, or both. That's right, they're going to talk about industrialization and how there is going to be a mod converter which will convert your save files to Victoria 3. This is a joke, by the way. But we might get something on industrialization. I hope we get something on industrialization. I hope we get something actually incorporating a lump of coal. But that is today's Dev Diary. We learned about disasters. Shout out to disasters. And the fact that Johan is probably being held captive because he always wishes us a happy Wednesday with a capital H. So with that, we will leave off, and I will wish all of you a happy Wednesday, and I will, send thoughts and prayers to Johan and his safety. Yeah, maybe he's not having so happy a Wednesday. I think he's in trouble.